Hello and welcome to highlights of the third and final stage of Itzulia Women, starting and finishing in Donostia, pretty much a carbon copy of the San Sebastian Classic with climbs such as the Jaskibel and the Murgil-Tontorra. We joined the race with 40 kilometers to go, and it was Morgan Coston of Arkea who was the final rider standing from the early breakaway group. Brody Chapman and Ash Mormon-Passio, though, in the bunch behind, were counter-attacking. Coston would head over the summit of the Gurutza and head in towards Donostia, San Sebastian, for the intermediate sprint. Jana Korova and Shirin Van Anrooy made contact with the French rider with 19.4 kilometers to go. It had been a long, hot day in the lead for the Arkea rider. She would try and recover. Maria Benito from Massey Tactic was on the chase behind, looking to try and get some more points towards the Queen of the Mountains classification. The bunch went through the line. They headed out for the 17.3 kilometer loop, while at the head of the race, Shirin Van Anrooy felt that Coston had long enough to recover and was trying to get her through to the front. The Murgil-Tontorra, though, is an absolute beast of a climb, with slopes ramping up to 19%. By the time they hit the lower slopes, they had managed to persuade Morgan Coston through to the front, but the chase behind from Movistar really was putting a dent in the gap. Van Anrooy's pressure at the front paid to the efforts of Korova, who was the first rider to lose contact while Coston was clinging on. Ashley Mormon-Passio of SD Works was setting the pace on the front for the yellow jersey Demi Vollering. She had gone into the day with a 22-second advantage over Paulina Royackers and 42 over American Kristen Faulkner. Van Anrooy eventually went it alone, but a very select chasing group had the young Dutch rider wearing the blue jerseys, the best young rider in the Women's World Tour. They had her in their sight. But for Van Anrooy, she would have managed to keep herself in the group. The third place rider in the general classification, Kristen Faulkner, was losing contact with that leading group. She would have to try and descend to get back in there. After 2 stage wins already in Itzulia, the yellow jersey decided that the best form of defence was attack. She went clear and would crest the summit and start the long, twisting, sweeping, technical descent alone. A fabulous descender is Demi Vollering. She used this skill to her advantage. The gap would go out to 20 seconds. In the group behind, all they could do was chase. Kristen Faulkner had made it back in. It was a great 3 days for the American. She was looking to cement that third place in the general classification. 300 meters to go and 2 corners for Demi Vollering. A fitting way to take your 10th victory as a professional rider. And she crossed the line at the end of the first ever edition of Itzulia, the yellow jersey, and 3 stage victories. Are we now seeing the start of the Demi Vollering era? Liana Lippert led Marta Cavalli and Nee Fisher-Black in the small group behind. A long, hot day in the saddle, but Itzulia belongs to Demi Vollering. There's your stage result. Vollering from Lippert and Cavalli, Fisher-Black, Van Anrooy, Mackay, Ewers, Patino, Labuse and Royackers, your top 10. Your general classification looks like this. So Demi Vollering takes it from Paulina Royackers, while a great ride for Kristen Faulkner, taking 3rd place at 1 minute and 7 seconds. The traditional hat on the head of Demi Vollering. What a ride. 3 stage wins. The general classification. The Women's World Tour now heads to the Vuelta Burgos.